Hello and welcome to a new episode of the Yarnflakes Podcast. My name is Audrey and this is a nitty yarny podcast from the southwest of France. Hi everyone, thank you so much for joining me for this new episode. I hope you're all doing very well, that you are staying safe, that everything is okay. I am recording a little bit later than planned. There's been a little gap, and since I usually record my episodes quite ahead of actually publishing them, I think I haven't recorded in like a month or so, and the official reason was that I didn't have much to share because I've been working on secret projects, a project that I cannot show you because they're secret, and I'm really excited about them and I'm really happy, but yeah, I can't share them with you. The consequence is that now I have a ton of things to share, like way too much. I just finished recording the French episode. I think it's 1 hour and a half long. Why? I hope I'm gonna be able to be more concise in English, so I'm gonna try and speak fast but as clearly as possible. Anyway, so that was the excuse that I didn't have anything to show you. The kind of real thing was that I had a little bit of a moment. I wasn't feeling that up to anything really. I think by that time we found that the quarantine lockdown thing kind of makes two different types of reaction. Some people have taken it very positively and are making really nice things out of it, and other people like myself, I'm personally kind of no. I'm trying to merge with the furniture in my house. That is pretty much the plan, and randomly I have bursts of me just wanting to hit the walls pretty much, but I'm okay. I just wasn't feeling really up to it. I'm gonna talk about my life and stuff, and if you're not interested, I'm really sorry. Please look below in the video description. You will have timestamps of the moment where I actually start talking about something you're interested in. So if you want to skip the blah blah moment, please skip to the knitting part, and the timestamps will be in the description below. Thanks. I wasn't really feeling up to anything, and just some personal stuff and some professional things that weren't going as planned, and it's just making insane. As you will see for this episode, we are a little bit into a chaos moment. I'm sure you don't need me to tell you that, but yeah, it's just the thing is, I have noticed that when I was feeling quite down, it feels like you sort of are into my head, because I'm feeling down. I'm like, I'm never gonna be able to see my boyfriend again because we live in two different countries, and it's like, my dad is probably going to get sick because he has to work in the supermarket. I don't know how my grandmother is because she's not picking up the phone. Stuff like this. But it's okay. It's okay. No, everyone is fine. Everyone is fine. But when I'm in these moments where I'm like, nothing is working, nothing is good, nothing is working, horribly feeling really, I have lots of, I don't know how to say it in English, but I have a lot of empathy. And so whenever I see or hear of someone in a bad situation, I'm just like, I want to do everything, but I can't. And so whenever I'm feeling down like this, it's always right at this moment that someone just sends me the sweetest message. I've got a few messages like this just randomly, because I didn't do anything. It wasn't in reaction to anything, but I just wanted to thank these people a lot because they've sent me such cute messages of just support and just kind words through Ravelry on Instagram, and I am just feeling so grateful because these messages are really encouraging me to keep things up. And I'm answering really nicely, you know, I'm like really professional and really I sound very serene, and I'm like, oh, thank you so much, this is so touching. Or in reality, behind my screen, I'm like crying because I can't deal with such kindness. But yeah, these messages make me realize how much I actually like talking alone to a phone. If you hear my mom yelling, I'm very sorry. She's in a Zoom meeting with her colleagues and they're all talking at the same time. I think that, or my mom doesn't know that she doesn't even need to scream for the people on the other side of the microphone to hear her. I'm gonna have to tell her. But I actually think that poor her, she has the dogs, and say maybe I should take them so that you would understand. But yeah, we have 2 bulldogs, French bulldogs, and they like to make a mess, specifically when you're on the phone or something and you need some quiet to understand what the other person is telling you. That is precisely then that the dogs are going to be extremely loud, and they're dogs that basically can't breathe properly, so you constantly feel like you have some sort of machine rummaging in the background. So I think that's why my mother is raising her voice, so I'm sorry if you hear that. But yeah, hey, lockdown situation. She's supposed to go back to the center, the medical center that she works in next week. We'll see. Anyway, not your business, not my business talking about that. On a knitting podcast, I was telling you about, yes, the fact that I actually really like sharing about my knitting and about a ton of stuff, and that when I feel down I should actually share more rather than just think that because I'm feeling meh I shouldn't record. I just noticed that because of how happy the kind messages of support that I get make me. So I just wanted to say that I am extremely grateful for the support, and I think, yeah, you should know that anyone who is affected by the situation, really, any sort of person that either has a business, a creative business, or also someone that you know has had personal struggles, yeah, it's just really precious to receive support. So I highly encourage everyone to just send love to whoever they think deserves it. Oh, that sounded a bit wrong. Everyone deserves it. Well, not everyone, maybe, but you know, most people do. So yeah, I just wanted to say that I'm very grateful for your support. Every time I receive such kind message, it just saves my day, and I'm like, either a kind message like this, or just like any sort of, anytime I see someone knitting one of my designs, of course, anytime someone buys one or comes on Patreon, or even just leaves a nice comment, I'm like making a little happy dance, and I'm like, okay, yay, go. Everything is fine, and it's just really motivating, and it's actually what fuels the thing, because sometimes my inner compass of energy and creativity is like, no, I just want to stay in bed. Really, I'm just gonna play Stardew Valley all day and just nah, I'm just gonna stay there. So I think that is what will happen if I didn't have you guys. So just to say that I am very grateful, very happy to be recording after just, it sounds ridiculous because it's only been like a month or so, less technically because you had the episode later, but it's just on my side I felt like I was holding back unnecessarily, and now I have 2 billion things to say and I'm just rummaging everywhere. Anyway, yeah, scheduling for the podcasts, filming is a little bit, because, well, right now with the lockdown moment it's even more complicated. But even on a usual matter, it's like I'm gonna record a podcast, so I'm gonna be like all nice and dandy and put makeup on. I look presentable. I kind of look witchy. What do you think with these things that are pretty much in your face? So I look decent, sort of. Please say I do. If you don't think so, don't say anything. But this means basically I'm scheduling everything in one day. So I know I'm going to record the podcast, and at the same time I'm going to take pictures that I need to take for patterns or anything, because I'm going to be presentable. Because there's no way I'm putting makeup 2 days in a row. Basically, I put makeup on to take pictures, thing the podcast. Sometimes I put makeup on because I want to, but the general consensus is that I'm not gonna put makeup on for 3 weeks. So when I do, I'm gonna do everything that I want to have makeup on for. So that is one of those days. So basically it means that scheduling the podcast is sort of, yeah, it has to be thought through. And now today is the day. I have plenty of things to share. So yay, now let's talk about knitting. Hello, welcome. I'm done, almost done ranting. I have 2 patterns to share with you, 2 patterns that I have released on Ravelry. I have 1 finished object. I have 2 new works in progress, completely new ones that you haven't seen, and I would like to share a knitting publication with you, as well as some pretty yarn that I want to show you at the end of the episode. So that is the plan for this episode. I'm gonna try and be efficient. So yeah, let's start. A few weeks ago now, maybe a week ago, I published these on Ravelry. So these are the Pristine socks. So they are the second pair of my sock knitting collection for spring. So I had released, back in March, I had released the Adali socks, which are these lovely springy, twisty, cabbly socks, that you liked a lot. I've seen quite a few versions of these on Instagram, and they're really sweet, and I'm really happy that you like them. And so in April is the second pattern of this little collection, and it's Pristine, and they're a bit simpler socks featuring cables, seed stitch, and this leaf lace motif. At the back of the sock is weird accent, is this little cable here. So I'm not gonna go over them in too much details, because I remember I did talk a lot about them when I was knitting on them a few episodes back. So I'm not gonna double everything, but yeah, they're fairly simple socks, and yeah, I really like them. They feature a heel flap and gusset, and I just wanted to quickly mention something that has come up in another sock testing. So basically the 3rd design of this little spring collection will be coming soon, and I'm not giving precise dates anymore. You'll see that we are a little bit chaotic at the moment, so I'm not giving you precise dates of anything anymore, because they don't work, so I just feel awful. And I'm gonna act like the Netflix community manager on Twitter. It's quite funny, because everyone is talking to the Twitter community manager, to the Netflix community manager on Twitter, asking him when is this and when is the next season of that, and when are you going to put this and that, and blah blah blah. And Netflix is always answering soon. So I'm gonna do the same. The 3rd socks of the spring collections will come soon. They're lacy ones, and during the test knits, some testers have asked me, how do I figure out the size that I want to do for my heel flap when I'm making a traditional heel flap and gusset? And this is one of the things that I don't think should be included in the pattern. It's always a balancing act of making a pattern that's as clear as possible, as accessible as possible. And these are very much beginner friendly. I had lots of testers that were beginners, and they did amazing. at socks, I mean. So it's balancing between having a pattern that's clear, but at the same time, I'm not gonna explain in every pattern how to make a knit stitch or how to knit in the round, you know. So the patterns have to assume certain things for the knitters, even if they're not complex. I think as long as it's specific to that design, say if it has a specific shape or something really specific to that design, then yes, of course you should have an explanation, a thorough explanation of things so that they're understandable. But when it's general knowledge that can be very basic or not, I really hope you're not hearing the landowner. Anyway, but when it's general knowledge, things that pertain to any type of knitting, like any type of sock knitting, any type of sweater knitting, etc. When it's like really, really basic, basically, and general. Most of the times I don't want to include them in the pattern, because if not, I would end up with a pattern that's like 30 pages long. And when the design is not specifically made as a step-by-step, really baby beginner, showing you everything, I don't think it's I don't think it has its place, basically. So certain things I don't want to include in the pattern because the pattern is beginner friendly, yes, but is not specifically made to teach you how to knit. And this includes how to figure out precisely how to size the heel. It's a little bit complicated. Basically, in the pattern, I prefer to let you adapt the heel to your feet because you need to, rather than give you precise measurements and decide that these are the only 3, 4, 5, 6 measurements that exist in the world of feet, and that you have to choose one of them. Because if it doesn't suit you, then it's sad. And I also much prefer explaining you how things should be rather than just telling you instructions that you should follow blindly, and then you don't know how to adapt them or how to transfer them to other projects. The idea when I write my heel instructions is that I want you to be able to reuse them for other socks or other patterns that maybe don't have that specific heel, or even if you're not using a pattern. Maybe it's a little bit counterproductive for a knitwear designer to try and teach you how to not use patterns. But I actually think that it's not because you know how to do something that sometimes you don't want to buy the finished product. As in, if I see a pattern on Ravelry, 8 out of 10 times I'm gonna be able to copy it just by looking at the pictures. I'm gonna be able to understand how it's done roughly, unless it's a really specific weird thing. Or really, really technical stuff that I have never seen of, but I think the majority of the time I'm gonna be able to do it. But I don't want to. Like when I want to knit something, even if it's something a little bit more basic, like just a stockinette sweater, I'm very likely to actually buy the pattern and just follow it because I don't want to do the math or anything. It's sort of like, I know how to cook, that doesn't mean that I don't want to go at the restaurant. I don't know if that makes sense. But yeah, it's, I don't know, it's a thing. So, what I want to do when I write my heel instructions is letting you know how it should be. But, regarding proper fitting ideas, this is more like empirical knowledge. So basically, how to know, specifically for a heel flap and gusset method, how to know what lengths to do, what to do, how to get a wide enough gusset, this sort of things. the leg of the sock should fall on your ankle, on your joint basically. So when you're doing kaftan socks, you can just try them on, you know, slip that tube and place it right over your ankle, and that way you know how high you want to make the sock. Is it high enough? Do I need to knit more so that it sits higher on my calf and everything? So why is calf the same word for calves and the baby of cows? It's the same word, right? Why? That related? English? Why? If anyone knows. Maybe it's not exactly, but it's written the same, isn't it? Why? Is it because calf look like calves? Mine certainly do, but I don't know. Anyway. Why? What is that tangent about? Anyway, you sit it on your ankle, and then the question my testers had is, how do I know how long I should make the heel flap? Because I give like an approximate range, like a medium range. I say knit the heel flap for X rows or until the desired length. And the tester asked me, how do I know what is the desired length? Basically, if this sits on your ankle, then the heel flap should almost reach the bottom of your heel. Almost. Not completely, because you want it to have a little bit of a negative ease. And if you make a heel that's too big, it's quite uncomfortable usually. I find that it slips under my foot. It's not nice. And if you make a heel that's too tight, especially in this method, you're not gonna have enough room here at the widest part of your feet. And the stitches at the top are gonna be cramped. When you're folding your ankle, it's gonna be uncomfortable. So the idea is to knit the heel flap like until it's 1 centimeter less than the actual length of your heel, going under your heel, like here. And if you do that, then you should have a decent amount of stitches to pick up here at the sides to have a comfortable gusset. So, what the hell? It feels like you're in my garden. You're not supposed to be in my garden. Where are you? Ah, I really hope you can't hear it. It's quite annoying. Anyway, like I said, I put on makeup, so I cannot record another day. I don't, and then you just basically decrease the gusset stitches until you are back to the same number of stitches that you have for the leg. And that is sort of how you can gauge how to make sure that your gusset fits you. General rule of thumb for the heel flap is that it should be at least a square, meaning that you should make it at least as long as it is wide. But again, this is to adapt to your own feet. If you have a foot that's especially high, like with a big arch, you may have more space, so need more stitches. That means a longer heel flap, because the length of the heel flap determines how many stitches you're gonna have on the gusset, basically. Or you may have a more flat, tiny foot, so in that way you might need less stitches. So yeah, like I hope you see what I mean. These are like general sock knitting knowledge that, to be honest, isn't necessary. Like, I mean, you're gonna knit a few socks and then you're gonna know approximately how you should do it for yourself. And that's why I don't think they should be included in a specific pattern, because it doesn't pertain to that specific design. If I were to make a really basic ABC sock pattern, then I would include that information. But there are already really basic baby steps, sock tutorials, everything, and patterns. So yeah, just look at them if you have never knit a sock. But I thought it might be interesting to talk about it here on the podcast. Or, yeah. So that is what I wanted to say about the heel situation. And yeah, so Pristine is available on Ravelry as of now, and you will soon see the whole collection of spring socks, which are looking very nice and neat, and the last little blue pair will will appear soon, like we said. So yeah, this is the first design I wanted to talk to you about. And up to the second one, I have, seriously, where the hell is that happening? That is not physically possible. I don't know where they are, what they're cutting. I have just published a new design on Ravelry, and it is a sweater that I'm wearing. And so this is a sweater that I have knitted back in December. It was my holiday knitting project, and so it's been quite a while. And it's the Centaurea knitting sweater, hand knit sweater. So let me just lift myself. So yeah, what's happening is that you can see that I'm very pretty. I have lipstick, I have nice earrings, a nice braid, a beautiful sweater on, and then as usual I have my black leggings that are full of holes. So that is the reality. But yeah, so Centaurea is a top-down raglan that is knitted in the round with a pretty close round neckline, as you can see, a rather wide and deep raglan, so you have a little bit more ease than usual on the raglan, a little bit, but not so much that it's too low. As you can see, it's not, it's pretty far from my elbow. It's knitted in fingering weight, so it's drapey and soft enough that you can still wear coats and everything, and this doesn't bother you. But yeah, just to have lots of nice ease. And you have on the raglan these little twisted stitches and cable motif that then continue on the side of the sweater and finally merge into the cable hem, which I find is really pretty. This actually came from this. So yeah, as I was making the Adali socks, this little cable here inspired me to just use it all over a sweater, and I just think that it looks really nice. I really like it. So it's cropped, of course. The sleeves are picked up, and of course they're quite wide and comfortable because of the deeper raglan. They are decreased until the cuff, which also features a reminder of that cable motif. And this is Centaurea, and it is the best shape ever. I really like that shape of sweater. I find it's really comforting, it's really nice, it really suits me. It's everything that I like. I like close round necks. I'm bothered by necks when they're like boat necks and they sort of slide and go up, but this is just round, and you can see it goes round and it's quite close, so it doesn't move. So that doesn't bother me, and I really like the look of it. I like the deep raglan. You may have noticed that I often like to knit sweaters probably a size bigger than what I should. I kind of like loose fitting garments, just how I am. So I really like having a deep loose raglan with ease. I don't care if it falls. I just think it's nicer and flowy. The cropped little look, obviously, and the loose sleeves, again, not to be constricting. I think that's the thing, is that a tight armhole here, I really don't like this. I think that is the thing that I don't like, and why I love this shape so much, because it's just so comfortable. So I hope you like that shape too, because you might see a few more. But for now, this is Centaurea, and yeah, it's a fairly accessible pattern. The raglan has a table for you to follow it. I'm not going to explain that again. Don't worry. But yeah, it's a fairly simple thing. The cables are really intuitive and really easy to knit, and yeah, you just know when you're supposed to cross, when you're supposed to make a twisted stitch or a purl, and it's just pretty intuitive. And yeah, like I said, it's knit in fingering weight. I used Featherfin sock yarn. So Featherfin is a German indie dyer, which makes pretty nice solid colors, and I used her sock base, basically, so superwash merino nylon, your basic thing, in cornflower, which is a really nice cornflower blue. And yeah, so any sort of fingering weight works. The gauge is 26 stitches per 10 centimeters, I think. I'm not sure. Like I said, I knitted this a while ago, and it was also not planned to be released now. So this is the chaos that we're in at the moment. I had to advance the release of this design, basically to exchange it with another sweater design. I was supposed to show you another sweater, the Telluric sweater, which is the all-over colorwork sweater that you have seen a few times, and that is in collaboration with Amy of La Bien-Aimée Yarns. And we have to figure out together the best possible way to release that sweater, because as you know, indie dyers at the moment, it's difficult for many businesses, but especially businesses that rely on physical products. And Amy, with her shop and everything, she's really working hard to sort of figure out things with her team. And so we have to arrange stuff. So we have to change the release date, and I had to exchange the designs. Centaurea was supposed to be released at the end of the month, and the test is not completely finished. So the thing is, many of my testers have finished early, so they're just, it's like I said at the beginning of the episode, everyone is just so nice and adorable. Many of them had finished and given me all the feedback I needed. I have very good testers for this. It's like I send them the pattern, and like 10 minutes later I'm gonna have one or two, often 2 or 3 people sending me a complete report of all the pattern. They will have seen every typo, every little thing that needs fixing or is uncertain. They will have gone through with like the lynx eye. Do you say that in English as well? It's like we say you have a lynx, you know, the cat. It's not a cat, it's a lynx. The big cat hides because he sees well and he's a hunter. Anyway, they see everything really quickly. I'm really grateful to my testers for this. They're all amazing. Also, it's a raglan. I'm pretty used to raglan right now. So when Amy and I realized it wouldn't be possible to release the colorwork sweater as planned, I was like, what do I do? And Centaurea was actually pretty ready, so I decided to flip it. And of course, my testers, I warned my testers, I just felt horrible because I don't like this messy sort of things. But yeah, I just warned them, and they were really comprehensive. The thing is, when something doesn't go how it's supposed to go, how you planned for it, I'm like, I'm feeling awful, and I'm like, oh, they're gonna hate me, they're gonna sue me and stuff, and it's gonna be horrible, and I'm such a bad person, I'm terrible, I'm the worst designer ever. And actually I warned them, apologizing and explaining stuff, and a few of them answered like, whatever, it's fine, just release the sweater, we don't care. And it's just, yeah, they were really understanding and kind. They've done beautiful versions. Some of them obviously are not finished, which is fine. You know, even in a normal circumstance, if you don't finish a test, if you just let me know, it's fine. And most of the time, people are like panicking because they haven't finished a cuff. And I'm like, please, it's okay. So yeah, some of them haven't finished, obviously, but that is totally like on me, normal and stuff. But yeah, I just had to do a little bit of a messy thing, which means Centaurea is up early for you. Yeah, I am an octopus, kind of handling things. You know, I feel I have like 8 different streams of information and things to handle, and if one of them needs changing, then it has repercussions on all the others, and I need to sort of flip things around, and I have to deal with all these things, like I'm sure everyone has to at the moment. And yeah, these means that unfortunately I had to do a little trick, and maybe as a happy result you have Centaurea sooner. And I'm like, okay, because I love that design and I hope you like it too. So it might be okay, you know, maybe you're gonna be happy to have it sooner than planned, because I really like it. I think it's really wearable, and at the same time it has a little something, you know, it's nothing out of the extraordinary, which makes it very easy to wear a bunch of different ways, and at the same time it has that lovely little thing. And I just really like the shape of it. You can use any fingering weight yarn you have and just have fun with this little hem. Obviously longer, shorter, whatever you do, it's very, very easy. And yeah, I hope you enjoy it. It was not planned, but it's there anyway. So there's yeah, the theme of the moment. I have put a little discount code in case you like the design and you want to knit it at the moment. You have the yarn and everything. There is 15% off until next Monday with the code Centaurea, and everything will be written in the description. Centaurea is, I named it like this ages ago. It's the name of a flower, the Latin name of a flower. I don't remember which flower, and I don't remember why I chose that. Yeah. But isn't that specifically the Latin name of the cornflower, and isn't that why Oh, maybe that's why. I don't know. I do not remember. Yeah. Centaurea is now on Ravelry. I hope you like it. I am done promoting myself. On to finished object. I have completed a project a while ago. It was a test knit that I was knitting on for Burgundy, which is a French designer, and it is the Helix Cowl, which she has published on Ravelry, and it's a pattern that she designed with La Bien-Aimée Helix new base, and I have told you about that base. It's the one with that I have used on the colorwork sweater that is coming soon again. And she just published it on Ravelry, and it's this lovely colorwork cowl, which it's a tube basically, so you provisionally cast on the stitches, you knit, and then you graft the two ends together while twisting it so that it has that Mobius, forgot how to pronounce that. And yeah, and it features this colorwork motif that is really nice, and I believe as I was knitting on it I was telling you that I think it's a nice transition between the Scandinavian type of colorwork, which is like two color stuff, contrasty stuff, and the ferile type, which is more gradients between the motifs and stuff. This is like an in-between, because you have the gradient in the motif, you keep changing color every 2 or 3 rounds, but the background is one color and they're still fairly simple basic motif, and so it's really nice. As well, since it's a tube, you don't have to weave in the ends. So what I did is that I kept cutting the yarn and making little knots, and they're somewhere. I don't remember which side, but they're somewhere. But they're inside the tube, so who cares? No need to weaving ends. And I just really like the result. Marianne's version, the samples version for the design, is really colorful because the Helix yarn from La Bien-Aimée, amazing yarn, a really, really lovely base. I really like it. I will talk about it again when I have my sweater coming and I can show it to you. It shows really beautifully on saturated colors, and so her sample is like reds, oranges, and blues, greens. It's really, really beautiful, and a gorgeous purple. But when I saw it, I sort of wanted a neutral version, so I found the perfect grey gradient, and I used Filcolana's Saga yarn. So it's their lamb's wool yarn, and it's a great substitute for La Bien-Aimée Helix in case you don't have access to it. It's 100% pure wool. It's 300 meters per 50 grams, so it's like a lace weight as well. It's really good for color work. It's really, really nice. It doesn't fluff up as much as horse yarn, but it sort of does in a similar matter. It's much softer than horse yarn. It's really like a cushiony little thing. I really like it. It's really, really beautiful. And it just has a really nice palette of colors, like a color range. So I just picked in order the grays, and it just made this really nice raglan. What am I talking about? Messing up words. Gradients. It just made this really nice gradient, and I'm really happy with the result. I think it's a really good shape putting it on because it holds well, and it still keeps you warm. Like, it's close enough to my neck that it keeps me warm. Like, if I had a coat in the winter, it would be like this, it would be nice. But it's not too tight that it strangles me. I sort of have this issue with wearing scarves in the winter, because if I wrap it loosely and it goes over more of my upper body, ooh, nice little butterfly, if it goes over more of my shoulders and everything, then I'm too hot. But if I wrap it too tightly over my neck, then I'm sort of strangling myself. Problems, right? And this just sits, it just sits perfectly, because if I pull a little bit on it like this, then it's closer. If I let it just be, it can be a little bit looser. It's really nice. I do like to do this with scarves as well. I kind of like to lift and wear them like a hood, because I often forget about hats and stuff. So I just think it's a really nice shape for that. And yay! I realized I forgot to say something about the sweater. I'll be back to it in a minute. But yeah, I think it's a really easy, nice design to knit on, and it looks good in an array of different colors. Like, one of the testers, she used as well a cream background, and she just used one color, a variegated color, all throughout, making the motif, and it looks really, really beautiful. So yeah, if you're looking for a fun colorwork project, that might be an idea. So it's the Helix cowl, and really easy to adjust. You just knit it in around, and you knit it until the measurements. My roll gauge was a bit wrong. It was much looser than the designer, while my stitch gauge was perfect. So I just knitted less repeats than the sample had to. So yeah, basically I just yeah, you can you can knit it as well longer if you want to make like a larger cowl that you can wrap twice. That can be a thing. And yeah, really easy to adopt. And that is it about Helix. What I forgot to say about this is that the neckline, if you bind off too tight, of course it's a closed neckline, so you might have issues putting your head in. It's like I only had like 2 or 3 testers to whom that happened. Basically they just had to relax. I think I must knit in a very relaxed way, because I often find that people have trouble using certain techniques, like certain cast-ons, and they break the thread or something, and I never do. So maybe I'm knitting especially relaxed. But in any case, I use the stretchy bind off that I use is the one where you knit 2 stitches, 1, 2, and then you knit them again together through the back loop, and that makes, I find, the neatest. Stretchy enough, it doesn't flare out, which is something I really hate, and it doesn't use too much yarn. It's okay, you can use as well the tubular bind off if you like, but I'm okay. I like the tubular bind off. I had to use it for one of the secret project. I had to use it. It's fine, but lazy. This stretchy bind off works just fine. In case it's not enough for you, You of course can use Jenny's surprisingly stretchy bind off, which is the one where you do a yarn over, etc. Don't like this one. I don't like to do it. That's the thing. Or don't hesitate to go up a needle size. It's pretty common to use a bigger needle size to cast off things rather than the same needle size that you're using. So yeah, it was fine with my testers. We managed to get it right, but yeah, just a heads up that if you know that is something you have an issue with, just plan to use a bigger needle perhaps for the neckline bind off, and you'll be fine. So moving along to works in progress, and I'm going to start with a test knit that I am doing. Sari Nordlund did a call for a few designs, a call for testers for a few designs that she has planned for the summer. Do I have time? No. Did I apply? Yes. Am I knitting it? Yes, of course. I applied to test knit her Florence tank, which is a beautiful lace cardigan tank top. Basically it's a cardigan, it's open, it has buttons, it's a V-neck tank top, vest if you're English, I think. I don't know how Australians say it. A sleeveless top, basically. Figure it out. Please come up with one word so that we're all agreeing. Where is my swatch? So, she used Knitting for Olive pure silk for this. I really want to try Knitting for Olives. I think I'll order from them probably. It's a Danish company, I think. They have lots of really lovely yarn. Lerke from Fiber Tales as well has been using their yarn, I believe. And it's sort of made me want to copy again. So she used, Sari Nordlund used pure silk for her, so a light fingering weight yarn that she held double. I had in my stash 2 skeins of Blacker Yarns Samite, and Blacker Yarn Samite, if you don't know, is a blend of wool, like a lot of non-superwash wool, a blend of like Swartzels, Wensleydales stuff. Like Blacker Yarn likes to mix a lot of British wools in their yarns, so it's 80% wool, 20% silk, and it's all non-superwash and woolen span, and I really find that interesting. I wish there were more blends of rustic wool, woolen span with silk, because I find that the combination of the two has a really interesting texture and look. I just really like it. I find that if you have superwash yarn, superwash wool with silk, it's just double positive, you know, because superwash wool is slick, is drapey, it's smooth like silk. So of course it's gonna have more shine, more drapiness, and it's gonna be lovely. But I find that if you have a woolen, rustic, non-superwash wool with silk, it's like the conflict of the two makes a really interesting thing. I wish there were more blends like this, and unfortunately Samite by Blacker Yarns was discontinued. Why? I bought it I think a couple of years ago. I have 2 skeins of this color, which is like a basic grey, and I bought it and then they discontinued it. But I had planned to use it for a design, like a sort of a stole, a lace shawl, but I don't want to do it anymore, because even though I personally don't have an issue with releasing designs with yarns that are not like carefully planned as a collaboration of thing, it's just that I noticed that if I'm using yarns that are a bit harder to get, like for example they're overseas and I have quite a few people that follow me that are in France, or if there are yarns that are not available for sale anymore, I find out a lot of people are disappointed and they're just asking me where to get this yarn, where did I buy it, anything, and it's just, yeah, I don't want to. I kind of have that reaction as well. I would like to try the yarn that the designer used sometimes, and if I can't, it's just, I understand that it may be frustrating. So I decided not to use it for a design, and when I saw what yarn Sari Nordlund had used for her Florence tank, I thought, oh, it would be a nice match. And indeed, it's the same yardage thingy, and you can hold it double. Now, I hope I have enough, because I have gauge. I have perfect gauge. It's not the first time that I noticed that I get perfect gauge with Sari Nordlund's patterns. I have stitch gauge, row gauge, everything is fine. This is my little swatch. It's upside down, I think. No, it was like this. This is my little swatch. So it's a simple lace design. It's you do it on the right side and on the wrong side row, but it's fine. It's very simple, and it's really pretty. I really like it. And now, I'm afraid I'm not gonna have enough yarn. I have a little bit over the estimate, but I don't know why I'm panicking. Basically, so it's a cardigan, so it's flat, right? You cast on for the body, you knit a little bit of ribbing, and then you start the all over lace motif, and you knit the bottom band at the same time. So it's gonna be like this, right? Like this. And so yeah, you knit the bottom ends. I have done 2 holes so far. I need to do 3 more. And this needs to be like 30 centimeters in the end. So I'm like less than half done of the body. And I have this left of my first skein. And yes, I have the swatch. And I have another full skein. But I'm sort of panicking. I don't know why. I feel I'm using more yarn. But maybe I'm wrong. Because basically once I finish the body, it's a V-neck as well. So once I finish the body, even though there's the back, don't know. I hope I'll have enough. Basically, if when I finish the body, I would like to have just started the second skein. Yeah. I hope that's gonna be the case. Yeah, I don't know why I'm panicking. I have the exact raw gauge even. Like, that's so unbelievable. So I don't know. I hope it's gonna be okay. Because if not, I'm not sure what yarn I could use for the test. Could probably get something fairly quickly. But yeah, I really like the result of it. Obviously, it's fairly different from Sari Nordlund's sample, because she used pure silk, so it's like very open and drapey and etc. Mine is still mainly wool, and so it's a little bit more plump, right? A little bit more stiff maybe, even though it's quite drapey. It's not like cardboard effect, but it's okay, because since it's like this really flowy cardigan tank top, I feel if it has a little bit more structure, not too bad, right? Because I don't want to be moving, and like if I just bend over and the front of the cardigan just drops, it's gonna be annoying. But I really hope I have enough yarn. But I really like how it's working up. The thing is, because of the wool content and everything, it's not the most pleasant to knit. Like, it's not really, it does not go really smoothly, since you have to do a little bit of manipulating the stitches to do the lace decreases over the wrong side as well. I think that for this thickness of holding the samite double, I would need a looser gauge, so like bigger needles, but then I wouldn't, like, it wouldn't be good for the pattern. So I really like the look of it. I don't want it to be more see-through. It's just that it's a little bit tricky to knit at moments, but it's fine. It's going pretty smoothly, and I really like the fact that we're knitting the bottom bands at the same time, and yeah, it's pretty cool. I'm gonna continue with it and hopefully have enough yarn. I don't know what yarn I could use if I don't. But yeah, this is my first work in progress, my personal one. And moving on to a new work in progress, which was a little bit of a improvised thing that happens sometimes. I was digging through my weaving yarn stash. Yes, because I'm that kind of person. I have my knitting yarn stash, and then I have a bunch of yarns that I don't necessarily like knitting with, but they have an interesting texture or anything, and it's my weaving stash that I use for weaving or for other different yarn crafts that I just feel like doing at that time. And I was digging there, I don't even remember why, and I saw these. So these are cotton yarns. They're all roughly DK weight. They're not the same brands. This is Phildar. This is Woll, which is a German brand. And this is Adriafil, I think. They're all cotton, they're all roughly DK. And I thought that they kind of looked cool. Now, I'm not gonna rant again about how bad I am at picking colors, because I am. Especially when it's making more than 2 colors association. I'm just really confused all the time. But I thought this looked interesting. And I'm knitting something. I had the idea for a cotton t-shirt with this. And the more I look at it, the more I feel it looks like something I would have worn as a teenager. It looks a little bit strange, but I don't like it. Like I kind of like it. It's cool. So it's a drop shoulder t-shirt, so it's just gonna be like a square. And so what I did, it's a bottom up. So what I did is that I knitted this hems, so in 2x2 twisted rib, which I really like the texture of. The back hem is longer than the front, it's split. Then I joined it around and I started knitting this motif. I didn't want to just make stripes because that would have been really 80s. That would have been too much, I think. I kind of wanted to blend the colors together, and I thought slip stitch would be interesting for that. Because as well, since cotton has a tendency to drop and drag and just not hold its shape, I thought making a slip stitch motif would be interesting, because slip stitches had like sort of a dimension, right? And it sort of pulls rows higher than what they're supposed to be. So I think it could add an interesting structure to it. I don't know. So I did this, and it sort of make this check effect, but it's fun, no? I don't know. I think it's fun. I don't know. The thing is, I have this idea in my head, right? And I haven't changed it one bit. Since I've been knitting on it, I always think, yes, I'm going to make it like this. Like always the same thing. And at the same time, I'm looking at it and I'm like unsure. I think it needs to be completed, because I don't want to have the motif up until my face. Because I think, now that looks really, really 80s crazy. What I like is surrounding it with the pink. It's a really nice, it's not really pink, it's a little bit pink. It's like a, yeah, like a maranthy kind of thing. I don't know. Anyway, so with the hems being only in the pink, I'm gonna just make a little bit of ribbing at the sleeve caps here, because it's gonna have lots of eaves, right? And it's not even blocked, so it's gonna be huge. So I'm gonna make little ribbing here for sleeve cuffs and the neckline, and the whole shoulders are gonna be just pink, because so it's gonna be cropped, right? So I did the body like a 20-ish centimeter, and I knitted the back and I knitted the shoulders, and basically I want so that when you start shaping, first of all you drop the slip stitch motif, because too many yarns, too many threads that get tangled, it's a pleasure. It's fine. It's just that I'm really messy, and it was like stuffed in a bag. But I feel that if I have only the pink close to your face, close to the top, it's gonna be better, rather than have that check thing right up here. So I'm on the front now, and I'm knitting the front flat, and I think I'm gonna bind off for the neck soon, and then the shoulders are gonna be just pink stockinette. And I think that, and then a little bit of ribbing here for the neckline. I think that's gonna be okay. That's gonna make it look a little bit nice, I think. Anyway, this is the plan for this t-shirt. I thought it would be interesting to try and do something in cotton, because I'm not a huge fan of pure cotton, like I said before, but I noticed a lot of people really like using cotton yarn. It's widely available with more or less good quality and well formed, but I noticed a lot of people do use cotton yarn for the summer, and I thought it would be interesting to show something with it, and just for me personally as well, to try it out. You know, maybe I'm gonna change my mind. It's really smooth to knit, that's not a problem. I'm using big needles, I'm using 4mm, so it's going really smooth, really slippery compared to the Florence thing. That is much more smooth. But yeah, I'm really curious. I think I'm gonna finish it quickly to just get an idea of how it looks, because I don't know. I hope you're not repulsed by it, because I would really like to find testers for it when I complete it and ask for testers, because I think if you knit this in a less teenagery kind of color combination, like I'm seeing something beige, black and cream, or light grey, I think that would look really cool. Or something like blue, green, grey, like more muted colors, more adult colors, more modern combos, like more minimalistic thing, rather than in your face psychedelic stuff. I think it will look really pretty. So yeah, I hope someone is gonna want to test it, because I think it would look really nice. And yeah, I sort of like my crazy top. I don't know, it's fun. It's different from what I usually do, but it's fun. And it's been really pleasant to knit and quick, and I think it's a nice summer project. It's what a summer project needs to be. It needs to be fun and quick and like, yay, finished, because it doesn't have any sleeves or stuff. So that is what I'm aiming for with this. It has a name, it's gonna be Zinnie. And yeah, I hope I will have it ready soon, because I kind of want to have it ready for July. I think it's going to be my July design, so yay. Working, stop organizing things, Audrey, this is not, that's not working, stop. Not organizing, no. I am done with all my knitting projects and everything. I quickly want to show you a book, a knitting publication. If you may have heard of the Knit Eat Festival, which was a yarn festival supposed to happen in Lyon in centre France. And so, don't say it's the south. People that live in Lyon say it's the south. If you look at the map, it's literally in the center. Just like, I know you want to be cool like us, but you're not. You're in the center. Just stop it. Really nice city, no problem. But obviously it's been postponed because of the COVID situation. And the thing is, they had planned for a knitting book to be released at the same time as the festival. And so the book has still been released and is still available for purchase on their website. I am unsure of the shipping situation, especially overseas, like internationally, I mean, not necessarily overseas, but internationally. So I don't know. But I still wanted to show it to you because I kind of like it. It's kind of rare that I like publications, like books with a collection of different designers as much as this one. When it's not a magazine where they have a definite theme and everything. When it's just a book where they collected a bunch of different designers, I often feel it's a little bit too patchworky for my taste. But this one I find is okay, it's pretty okay. Basically the idea behind it was that they collaborated with stationery maker who made different motifs, like stationery motif, like a paper, basically, drawings and stuff, like graphic stuff like this. and each designer was inspired by one of the motifs and made a design to match the drawings on the paper. And this is why you have 13 patterns in it. There are recipes as well, and there's a bit more editorial content, but the book is written in French, and the patterns and the recipes, the food recipes, are translated into English, which I really appreciate because I think it's nice. So yeah, in case you do like the patterns, they are translated in English, just right there. So that's perfectly fine and bilingual. It's just that there are other editorial content that is not translated, but most of the usable content is in English as well. And so I really like that book. The pattern writing is pretty uniform, roughly. It's pretty fine. Besides that, the pattern are very clear. They're written, they're like in these yellow pages in the center of the book, and it's really convenient and nice. And I'm gonna show you my 3 favorite. Yeah, this one. I have 3 favorite. One of them I'm definitely going to make because I have the yarn for it. This one and this one. The first one I want to show you is a colorwork design that I find is really interesting because of the motif itself. So it's a colorwork yoke designed by Bérangère Caillot. It's called Pins. And I just find the drawing very interesting because when you look at colorwork, there's kind of like two sides. There's like the geometric type where you're making stars, crosses, whatever, you know, squares, a geometric motif, and then you have the more figurative motif where you're drawing, I don't know, leaves, trees, animals, things like this. And this is sort of neither. Obviously it's representing flowers. I'm going to show you the paper it was inspired by. It's this, the drawing of the stationery company that inspired this. I just find it interesting. It's kind of both. It's both geometric, it's obviously flowery. I just find it really original and cool. I really like that. I find it really interesting. The second design I want to show you is my favorite. It's this one. And this is by Encre Violette, which is one of the organizers of the festival. And it's the coquille sweater, cardigan more, which means shell. And I absolutely adore it. And so it's this very loose cardigan knitted in Suri, baby alpaca, Suri alpaca, and yeah, I really like it. I really like it. What I find interesting is that the really fluffy yarns like this, like mohair, Suri alpaca, I am not motivated by them creatively. What I mean is that I feel like kind of gone around it. I mean, if you do like a simple stockinette basic sweater with it that's all fluffy, that's really cool. A few designers are extremely good at this. I'm thinking about Atelier Émilie, which is a French designer. She has one pattern as well in this, but she does a lot of loose, comfy mohair sweaters that are really sweet, and yeah, I would really like to make one, but I don't get any creative ideas when I look at fluffy yarn. I'm like, how do I deal with it? And I find that I don't see something to do with it. It's really hard for me. I saw some brioche with it, which was really interesting. I did myself. One of my secret projects is using slipped stitches, and it's kind of cool. But yeah, it's a bit limited. I am limited looking at it, basically. That's what I'm trying to say. But here, I think it's brilliant because the fact that it's fluffy yarn like Suri, if you never seen baby Suri silk, it's like a cloud of fluff. It's this basically. It's like just really fluffy, like mohair, but even softer because it's alpaca. And so it has no definition. And what I find is that this is actually really clever, because if you look at the motif, at the shawl motif, which is like these scalloped thing with garter stitches and eyelets, if it was really visible, like if it was in a yarn that has a great stitch definition, it would be quite childish. I think it would look lovely on a girl's dress, for example, but I wouldn't like it. But like this, blurred by the halo and by the hair of the yarn, is brilliant. I think it makes it more elegant and much nicer, and I absolutely love it, and I think it's a really good move. So I'm quite impressed, and I really like it, to the point where I bought yarn to make it. So you see a lot of Sari alpaca and indie dyed. A lot of indie dyers have it now. It's a lace yarn basically that is a blend of baby Sari alpaca and silk. But I wanted to try a commercial alternative, like buy a commercial brand of yarn, because it was more affordable, one, and also because I wanted to see the difference between the two, and kind of give my thoughts on that, make up my thoughts, and then possibly share them with you if you're interested. But yeah, so I ordered Cumulus by Fiberspace, and it's like the similar thing. It's 74% baby Sari alpaca and 26% mulberry silk, so the nicest silk, the fanciest silk, where the worms are only eating mulberry leaves. And it's really soft. It's differently soft than the indie dyed versions, funny enough, but it's still extremely soft, and I'm really looking forward to knitting with it and seeing how I deal with the fluff. I love that color. It's the slate color. It's correct here. I noticed that if I put it here, the color is correct. It's like this dark grayish blue. Slate. Why am I trying? Slate. And I really like it, and I think it's gonna look good in that design. Possibly because since it's darker, it's gonna blur even more the lace motif. It's gonna be just really subtle. So yeah. I have no buttons to go with that. I need to find buttons. I don't know where to find buttons. Well, I know a few. I know of one button maker that is French, Atelier Camilla, that is really nice. But she makes pretty porcelain buttons, and they're all pretty white. And I think I would rather have something dark colored. So yeah, I need to look for buttons. If you have any button shops recommendations around Europe, please. And last designs that I wanted to share with you that I really like is the Art Deco sweater by Solène Knits, that you can find Solène Knits on Instagram, and it's this lovely ice cream sweater basically. Here, someone who knows how to make color associations, but I really love the cable motif that's on the shoulder. I really like that design too. It's quite refreshing, and I just really like the so yeah, really nice designs overall, beautiful pictures, nice food, nice food recipes, and yeah, so if you fancy, I don't know how the shipping thing is, I think you can get it, I think so. So in case you're interested, go and give it a look. I just wanted to share it with you. And then finally, I have just one random thing. I ordered some yarn from Artemis Yarns, which is a French indie dyer, Natasha. And I never had yarn from her. Basically, she has two brands. She has Artemis, the Greek goddess, yarns, and Ivy Fiber Co., which used to be called Jardin de Laine. And I collaborated with her on my Katie shoe sweater last summer from her Ivy Fiber Co. And basically, Ivy Fiber Co. is natural dyeing, so it's like nice soft colors on interesting rustic woolly bases and things. She does that, and the same person does crazy variegated speckled, like your typical crazy colored hand-dyed yarn. I find that so funny because I'm kind of like this as well. Like I do stuff like this, like really basic, neutral, like just a little bit of cable detail, and it's nice. And then I just do this. So I find it kind of funny that she as well has the two sides of her, basically. And I never actually got yarn from her crazy brand, so the Artemis brand. And recently on Instagram she posted in her stories a color combo, which I absolutely loved, and I wrote to her, and good job, I had to buy it. This, look at it. Ooh. So yes, I bought a mohair and yarn combo. Yeah, okay, fine, I lost. I eventually did that, an indie-dyed mohair combo. Yes, okay. So this is her singles base, so Superwash Merino singles in the, is it Ripple? No, Hydra. This is Hydra. Yes, Hydra colorway. So what I really like about her yarn is that obviously there are plenty of different variegations, but it sort of works. It's like still quite, it's easy for me to see something in her colorways, more so than in other more contrasty sort of hand-dyed variegated yarns. And this is her mohair silk lace thingy in Ripple, and they just go really well together. And I'm gonna hold them together and make a sweater. I'm not sure precisely what or how, but I really like it. And so I ordered 2 of each, right? 2 of each. But I received this, and this is like Hydra as well, like the same colorway as the single, but in the Stellina base. So it's a single Stellina, so it's really funny because it's much darker. It's really interesting. I received this and thought, I just got confused, and I thought that I ordered 3 singles, and because when you buy the lace you have more yardage, so I thought that initially I ordered 3 singles and that she mistakenly had given me the Stellina. And so I wrote to her because I actually really like the Stellina, and I just instantly got a design idea with it. Something I wanted to do with intarsia and lace neutral color, like later. We'll see later. And I really liked it, but I just thought I needed to pay more for it. So I contacted her telling her, yeah, I need to pay you the difference because you sent me the Stellina. And she was like, no, dummy. She just gave it to me. It was a gift. It is just, I don't understand kindness. So I was just really confused, and I didn't remember what I ordered or anything. It's like, I'm that kind of person. I forget. So I've been really stupid in her Instagram DMs. But I just wanted to show you her work again, because I really like what she's doing, and yeah, she's very kind. So yeah, just to sort of tease you as well with this, because I think these are gonna make 2 kind of fun designs, and yeah, I'm looking forward to trying the ideas that I have. So yeah, this is the pretty yarn. I just wanted to show, oh my god, the mohair. I just wanted to show you some pretty yarn, because that lifts everyone's spirits, right? And yeah, I am pretty much done, finally. 1 hour and 20 minutes. You're doing better than the French people. I just want to finish by just letting you know about Patreon. So, I have a Patreon page where you can get my patterns for free. You basically buy them by subscribing to Patreon. It's 1 or 2 patterns per month, depending on how much you subscribe for. And as well, I record videos monthly. So the videos are recorded in French, I speak in French, but I put the subtitles myself in English. And every month there's a video on a different theme. and we are in May. And so in May there will be exceptionally 2 videos, because the first video is like part of a bigger topic, and I will make a bigger video on this later, so it's a little bit more basic. But basically the first video that's already available on my Patreon right now, it's just a little workshop where I show you the very basic math that you have to do in case you want to knit a design at a different gauge, a sweater design. So I just show you basically what you have to calculate for the circumference, so the bust and the sleeves, and for the length, so the raglan, if it's a raglan, which is unlucky because the raglan is the hardest. But anyway, this is just, I just show you the basic math basically. And later, probably in a few days, I will put up the second video of May, which is basically a little vlog about the inspiration behind the lace of a shawl, of the Emelda shawl that I have been showing you in the latest episode. Basically, I often get asked, where do I find the inspiration for this or that? I never know how to answer this. So I just found it was maybe a good idea to actually show you what I do when I need to come up with a motif. And for this I needed to find a certain lace motif, so I just show you in that video how I find that motif, what I do with it to come up with the final result one. So that's coming in a few days on Patreon as well. And if you're interested in these topics, or if you just want to be part of Patreon, where again basically you can go there to buy my patterns. It's a little bit cheaper to do it this way. You are very welcome to come on Patreon. It's not a permanent thing by any means. I always like to remind people that they can come and they can leave from Patreon, even just for 1 month. They like I said, if you just want a pattern for this month and you're just curious to see what's happening on Patreon, if you want to be notified of test knitting calls as well in a different way, if you want to see what I'm up to, you can just join for a month and you have access to everything that I've been doing on Patreon since last October. So, and then you can leave and never come back or come back later or whatever, go support other people on Patreons. Just transitioning, Becky Sorensen from Soprano Knits, maybe you know her. She has a lovely podcast on YouTube. She is a knitwear designer as well. She recently opened a Patreon page, and yeah, she is just starting out on the platform, and she's already making us participate in her design process, and she's doing really interesting things around less is more May. If you would like to learn more about that crafting, mindful clothing movement, Becky is writing on this on her Patreon. And yeah, she's also offering the possibility to get her patterns through Patreon, or to give sort of that's what I did, like you subscribe but you don't necessarily want her patterns for free every month, you can give it to someone else. Basically that's what she does, which I find is really cool. So I don't know how she does it, but it's really cool. Congrats on the idea. And yeah, so yeah, she's one of the many designers that you can support on Patreon if you feel like it. If you don't know the platform, I highly recommend that you give it a look. Many people are doing different things, and yeah, it can be a way for you to find new entertainment as well, if you need it at the moment. So yeah, I am done blabbering. My throat is dying. I need to drink about 2 liters of water. And yeah, thank you so much for watching this long episode. I hope you enjoyed it, even though it was probably a bit messy, but you know how I am by now. If you're still there, is that you agreed to cope with it. It's like there's sort of an invisible contract between us, is that if you stay on the podcast more than 15 minutes, pretty much you accepted, like you gave up, and you have no rights to complain anymore. Like if you want to leave me a mean comment, it means that you left after 5 minutes because you couldn't stand any more of it. But if you stayed, then you signed a contract, you're trapped. It means that you agreed and you have no right to complain about my messiness. Just kidding. But not really. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. I hope you are staying safe, that you are well, that you're sort of coping, that nothing hard is happening to you or your beloved ones, and I really hope that everyone is fine and staying safe. And I wish you the best of strength in this moment, and I will see you soon. I will not refuse to record anymore because I'm just upset because I can't buy the cake that I want or whatever. A little bit more complicated than that, but basically it's just, yeah, when you're upset about things, the thing that makes you burst is usually ridiculous, you know. You're sad about a lot of a little bit more legitimate things, but you're gonna get really mad at the stupid thing. You know, it's like the other day, I was sad for a bunch of reasons, personal, professional, blah, blah, blah. I was kind of upset, and I just completely snapped because a fly kept entering my bedroom, and I just completely crazy about it, and it just was the end of the world. But yeah, poor fly. I managed to let it out eventually. Okay, I'm gonna leave you now. I wish you the best, and I will see you soon. Bye!